If you think you're gonna sign a record deal, wake up with millions of dollars in the bank, and be set for life, then you've been lied to. But I know you're smarter than that. I know you see through all the hype that Hollywood has sold you about the music industry. The complexity of record deals is something you must comprehend if you want to be set up for success. By the end of this video, you'll master everything that there is to know about splits, advances, royalties, options, and so much more. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, welcome to Record Deals 101. We're gonna be dissecting contracts in the music industry, what to look for in them, what are different clauses, how do they work, and this video is going to put Harvard Law School out of business, baby. So let's dive into it. Record Deals 101, here we go. So the ground floor, very basic concept that you have to understand when it comes to record label deals is recording contracts with a record label handle master royalties, which is different than publishing. We're going to be getting into publishing in a couple weeks, but this is going to be a record label contract masterclass all about master royalties. So a breakdown on how master royalties work is it's really two parts, right? There's digital performance royalties. So that's things like Pandora, Sirius XM, any kind of webcasting source that would be playing your master or AKA your song. So that's collected by Sound Exchange. I'm not sponsored by them, but you need to sign up with them if you want to collect these royalties, especially if you don't have a record label already, then you're definitely going to be missing out on the digital performance royalties without Sound Exchange. So make sure that you're signed up with them to collect those. But then the master recording revenue, right? That's what Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Deezer, SoundCloud, physical sales of the album itself, all of that is the master recording revenue. And that right now in 2024 is collected by either your record label or your distributor. So TuneCore, CD Baby, DistroKid, Symphonic, they collect your master recording revenue. The two things combined would become your total master royalties. And if you sign to a record label, then typical splits will almost always favor the record label. 99 times out of 100, it's very, very rare, unless it's a very, very indie label that's very small, that you'll see a deal where the artist is getting a large majority of the splits. Almost always, especially with the major labels, Sony, Universal, Warner, when you're working with a major record label especially, the splits are almost always going to favor the record label. And there's a couple reasons why that is, right? Reason number one is because they're handling a bulk of the promotion, distribution, especially back in the day before things went digital. They had to actually press the vinyl records, which was a huge money and time cost. There's a lot of outdated tactics when it comes to the music industry right now that could definitely use a revamping, especially how things are kind of broken down, which we'll be getting into. A very typical example would be record label gets 82% of the master, the recording artist plus collaborators share 18%. So if you have two artists, let's say it's Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande collabing on a song with 4 producers on it. There's songwriters that may get like a half a point, which would be, points or something we'll get into in another lesson as well. But that 18%'s got to be shared and distributed amongst all those different people that were involved in working on the record itself. But record labels may offer the artist an advance, right? Not always, but most times, especially with major labels, there's going to be an advance offered to the artist. But this is not free money. It's not like, hey, we're going to give you $1 million advance and you just get $1 million and you run to the bank and that's it. That is not how advances work. The record labels will be paid back their investment through the artist's future earnings. So no matter what, you better be sure that the record label will recoup their investment. So when they give an artist an advance, the label getting that advance back, aka making that money back, is called recouping. So the label will recoup their investment before you see any money from the actual royalties. So if your split is 82%, 18%, you better be sure you're not going to be seeing that until that initial advance is recouped. And here's an example scenario that we're going to break down right now. So this artist we'll call Mike. He signs with Music Records. Super, super genius, I know, right? So Mike signs with Music Records, and Music Records offers Mike a 1 single plus 2 single option deal. Music Records will retain 80% of the master royalties. Mike will be getting 20%. So Mike's the sole songwriter and producer of his music. So Mike's going to retain all 20% of that artist cut, right? Music Records is getting 80%. Mike writes, produces, works on all his music by himself. So he's going to be retaining all 20% of the artist cut. And Music Records gave Mike an advance of $100,000. So right now, looking at this record deal breakdown, Music Records gives Mike a 1 single plus 2 single option deal. They're going to retain 80%. Mike's going to get 20%. He doesn't work with anybody, so he keeps all 20% share of that artist cut. And Music Records gave Mike an advance of $100,000, which means if we look at the record deal simulator, here's exactly how that scenario has to play out for Mike to then see money after that advance. So as you can see here, right, the label gets 80%, artist 20%. The artist advance was $100,000. Let's say just for the sake of simplicity, it costs $0 to record and $0 to market. The song must do, if we look at it at a rate of 0.0039 cents per stream, which is about what, Spotify's paying, Mike's song's got to do 128.2 million streams for that initial advance to be recouped. And then from there moving forward, Mike's now going to profit 20% of the money that's made post 128.2 million streams. Crazy, right? Crazy. So advances are not free money. The label's going to make back their money that they gave to you and more before you start seeing those future royalties. And obviously there's the unicorns where like a label will give just free money essentially, but that's like not something that you should ever expect or look for. I mean, that's like literally a unicorn scenario. This recorddealsimulator.com, if you haven't checked it out yet, again, not sponsored, but a great way to just plug in potential, avenues as you start getting interest from labels to see how would it work out? How many streams do I need to do with this split and this advance to recoup the investment, right? Great website. What about the 2-song option? What the hell is that? An option clause in a recording contract gives the record label the first opportunity to release the artist's future work, right? First right of refusal is another way that you might hear this situation and term called, which basically just means Mike puts out that single, right? Mike's got a 1 single plus 2 single option deal. Let's say for the sake, again, of simplicity and, optimism, that Mike's first single does 200 million streams. So he recouped the investment, made a little extra money afterwards. Now he's got a 2 single option deal with the label, and they have the first right of refusal. So while that song was being promoted and marketed, Mike wrote another song. Mike goes to the record label and says, hey, Music Records, I think I wrote the next single. I feel really good about it. Let me play it for you. He plays it. The execs and the A&Rs listen and they go, Mike, it's not really for us. I don't think it fits the Music Records brand, which means depending, again, if it's a option clause in which they have first right of refusal and he can go elsewhere, after they deny the song, after Music Records says, we don't want to release this song, then Mike can go to other labels, shop it around. Maybe he can independently release it. If it's an exclusive option deal, which is, fairly common, but also fairly rare depending on what, size of record label we're talking about here. An exclusive option deal means Mike's got to keep writing new songs until they approve one. So Mike could write 80 songs after the first one, and finally they'll go, okay, this one, we like this one, let's put it out. Then they put out that song and they've, gotten that opportunity. So it really depends. Is it an exclusive, option where if they pitch the song to the label and the label denies it, he can't take it elsewhere? Or is it a first right of refusal and Mike can kind of do what he wants with the song if the initial Music Records label denies it? However, the label is not obligated to release anything they do not want to. So like we were just saying, if the label doesn't want to release the song, but they signed you to an option deal, they don't have to release the song. So option deals are extremely favorable to the label and very rarely favorable to the artist. It sounds maybe good in theory. Oh, an option deal, they want to do more songs with me. It's not a guarantee you're actually going to get those songs released. It's not a guarantee that the label's going to just start approving that, the next song you write after your first single. So they're very rarely favorable to the artist. So let's go over some closing thoughts, right? Number one, always have a lawyer look over any contract before signing. That's a non-negotiable. I know this video, I said earlier as a joke, like Harvard Law School is going to be put out of business, but you do have to have a lawyer look over any contract before signing. Absolutely non-negotiable. Number two, Record labels will come to you when you're ready. Pitching to labels is a lie. Are there independent labels that accept submissions? Yes. Is it to a degree, genre by genre situation where there are certain genres that have labels that do, accept submissions, and it is kind of a part of the community like EDM, maybe other, genres have that kind of built in? Yes. But if we're talking major record labels, Sony, Universal, Warner, the big cats in the industry, you cannot pitch to them. You cannot submit to them. There is no submission portal. There's no access to their A&R's emails. If they want you, they will come to you. You do not go to them. Focus on building a fan base. I got multiple videos on my channel if you haven't checked them out already where I go over social media, content, Spotify, all very low cost, almost $0 needs to be spent in order to apply those strategies to your career. So check those videos out and that'll get you on the path to getting a label to come to you. But the major labels will come to you when you're ready, not vice versa. You can negotiate and push back on terms you may not agree with before signing. Don't get pushed around. Remember, if a label comes to you, and this is why I preach letting the label come to you, they want you. They've now expressed interest in you. So they need you more than you need them because they wouldn't have come to you if they didn't think they could profit. So don't get pushed around. If there's terms that you don't think are favorable, if there's parts of the contract that you want changed, don't get pushed around. Voice that opinion. Have your lawyer tell them, hey, listen, we're not a fan of this clause. Can we please revise? If you don't ask, you don't get. I promise you. If you don't ask, you don't get. So closing thoughts, always have a lawyer look over the contract. If you want to get to a major label, they're going to come to you and you can negotiate and push back, especially if they did come to you. My name is Ruff. This has been another masterclass, the sauciest of videos. We're putting Harvard Law School out of business. Joke, I know. Hit that subscribe button if you have not already. I throw saucy masterclasses and raw rants out twice a week, so you get a ton of content from me. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, drop a comment, do all the fun stuff that gets this algorithm pushing me out to more and more artists so we can just juice you up, get your career moving. Check the link in the description if you want to work with me on your content, your strategy, your marketing, production. All that fun stuff will be in the description, and I'll see you next week. Peace.